Welcome back to the Vintage Firearm series, and today we're going to be talking about the Savage Fox, most notably the Model B. Okay, so before we get into this gun and we really talk about it, we have to talk about two other Foxes. And hopefully that way there we can see the transition and what's going on and explain a little bit about the company, where this gun came from, and whether or not it's actually a Fox at all. A.H. Fox started off in about 1896, and he had a couple of companies that didn't fare too well in that period of time, and they transitioned into 1906, and he got the patents for this design basically in 1905. He was to call it, of course, a Fox, and he was very, very, very proud of it. And he had his name on the side of it. He had a lot of handwork done to it. We'll show it real basically here. And you can see his name. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to try to get close enough and not be out of focus. Okay. So, but as you can see, it's a beautiful gun. And he was very proud of it. And he wouldn't let guns leave the factory if they weren't really, really good. So that's where he came from. And this gun was very successful. And we'll be talking about this gun on this series in the future. But it's a little premature now because we have to do some groundwork. And we're going to start doing that. So he had this gun and he started selling it in about 1906. But it took a lot of time and energy to do all the artwork on this and all the extra little details. And it was expensive. When you, I mean, even in those days when people were only getting paid about $1 a day, because $1 a day would buy you quite a bit. It was pre this rapid inflation we've had recently. But a lot of checkering and everything. So let's jump up to his next variant. So in and about 1909, he came out with this. Now this is a very well-known shotgun, but it was based on a price. It was about, I'm told, under $25. And it still has some artwork on it. The gun is basically very similar to the other one, but not nearly as upgraded. The handwork, the wood, you've got some checkering on it, but if you look real close, this is a steering wheel. And this is a great gun, by the way. This is not a gun to be, overlooked quickly. You notice, though, a lot of the handwork is gone. They just didn't do that. You've got some real basic stuff in here. But even on this gun, it does say made by A.H. Fox. So, because it's still the basic same gun. And this gun and these two guns were made by the original factory from the first, beginning in 1906. And then in 1929, we all know what happened there, the Great Depression. So you had companies like Parker and Fox, and they were all being liquidated at that time. And other companies would come in and buy them and produce their guns. And I'm told that during this time, from the 29s and maybe into the late 30s and such, they were using a lot of the supplies that they had to create new guns. So they still were being produced in these years by the people who bought them. And in the Fox case, that would be Savage. But in about the late 30s, they had a problem because they really couldn't make the guns any cheaper than Fox could. So they had to come up with design changes that they could make them faster and better. Or not better, but faster and more efficiently. Let's be clear on that, not better. So is the Savage Fox a Fox at all? And the answer is no, it's a Stevens. It's a Stevens Model 311 that has been upgraded. That's what it is. That doesn't mean it's a bad gun. It just means it's not of a Fox design. They went about it in, in an entirely different way. And we're going to talk about the basics. I'm not going to get into how the functions and the design, because there are people more qualified than myself to do that. I'm just a shooter and a collector. I don't know about all that stuff. But I do know that it was radically different design. So now on the other one, of course, on the real Fox, we had a release up here. On the Sternworth, it's something similar to this. We just pull this out. It's pretty tight. I picked this up at a gun show a while back. I don't remember the year on it. Probably back in the 50s or something. Maybe even the 40s. I really don't know. It is a Model B, and it's made in Westfield, Mass. Okay, so, and the other ones were made, the original Foxes were made in Philadelphia. So now we're going to pull the barrel off. So it states that it's a Model B. I'll use your guys' light there. Barrel looks really good. Maybe I'll show you guys what it looks like. They're claiming it's a 3-inch chamber. We'll check that out too, as long as we're here. Why not, right? It's very rare that it's not what it says on that level. I believe this is 20 gauge. Yeah, a little over. That's very good. I'm always glad to see that. Particularly important there. Okay, so let's then go to see what the choke is. Now, are they even saying what the choke is? If you know me, you know I don't believe them anyways. If they've got it marked, it would be something that I wouldn't be familiar with and how to read, because different companies use different things. It says HG on it. That's probably the choking, but okay, so we're gonna go. Okay, so we've got, set this down so I don't drop anything. Looks like we've got a full, which is very nice. And your primary is modified. So your first shot off would be a modified, and the second, because they're probably getting farther away from you, are going to be a full choke. Okay, so the quality of the checkering and stuff, it looks like it's hand stamped to me. You know, they're just cutting corners. Again, it's a fine gun. It's just not going to be to the level of, You know, they use some big press or something to get these in here. Not all that familiar with the process, but I can tell the difference between hand cut checkering and not. Okay, so 20 gauge, I like a 20 gauge. It's got a mid bead. That, to me, it's very nice when guns have mid beads. I really like them. It's got a raised rib on it, which is very nice. Usually they're more accurate. I fired this gun. It seems a bit off somewhere, so I can't remember exactly what it was, other than that I remembered that it was. So let's go outside and see what we got, and then we'll come back in and we'll talk about what this gun is, what it isn't, and kind of break it all down and do a recap on everything, okay? So let's go outside and let's do some shooting. Okay, so here we are outside, and with our Savage Fox. First thing I want to really show you in the good light is the pressings on the stock. I believe that's how they were done. They're not checkering. Okay, not in my book. There's a little something there. Again, this was all done at modest costs. I don't know if that's trying to get that light in there real good. Again, that's some kind of pressing as well. There's no engraving on that. So, let's kind of show you what we have in our 20 gauge. Maybe I should start right down the line here. See if we can kind of get into a good routine. And I'll flip it over and show you the other side. And the top. Okay, so we have a single trigger, so this design would have to be that it resets itself once you fire the first one. This is got to be the safe up here. So forward is to fire by looking at it. And so we're going to put it on safe, and we're going to load up a couple of shells. We're just using 7.5. Okay, we're going to take it off safe. So the first one will be modified, but it won't matter because we're so close. If I can't get it here, it'll be the gun. So I do remember it shoots high or low or something. I really don't remember exactly, but it's something like that. So I think we're going to go for the right one first. And that's a pretty easy target, so even if the sights are off, it still should be good. I'm probably going to aim in the lower third of the can because I like to see them go fly, but if it's off and it shoots slow, I might miss it. Okay. Well, that didn't do too bad. Now that kicked that can all the way up to the wall up there. We put that one in the air. Okay, so now it's obviously reset, and now it's going to go to the full choke. That one didn't fly as good. Don't know why. But in any case, we had the first one. That was pretty good. I'd shoot it again, but I'll tear up my lawn. I do anyways, but I don't want to be too abusive on it. Sure, just for the kicks of it. Shall we go after that? I got a 1-gallon can out there. See that in the middle of the leaf pit? Let's see what we can do with that. Again, the choke's off. Okay, let's try it again. I don't know. It's shooting low, see? That's what I remember. In any case, that kind of gives you a thing of what it is. So if it's shooting low, then that means the bead's too high here. But it is what it is. It's an inexpensive gun. I think I paid approximately $500 for it. So that's what it is. And it's not a bad looking gun. It's got some goof ups here, but overall pretty good. Let's go back inside and do a recap, and we'll try to analyze what everything is. Especially after looking at the video, it'll be helpful for me to determine exactly, you know, if I was right. And you guys already know, was I shooting low? Because I wasn't aiming. I was aiming in the bottom third of the cans. And but did that mean that it went lower than that? It looked like it to me, especially on the ones in the pit. So that's at greater distance it shoots lower. I can't figure that out. The other 2 cans up here, I would say slaughtered them, especially the first one, which was the modified. It just must have hit it right. You know, that modified, it might have hit it right because it is shooting low, but because it's modified, it's bigger. And that's why that probably happened like that. And the second one, which was a full choke, would be more accurate. So when I shot where I always shoot, in the lower third of the can, then it probably went below the can and just barely touched it. And that's why the can only went, I don't know, 4 feet or something like that, something ridiculously small. So in any case, let's go back inside, let's recap, and then we'll figure everything out, okay? Well, welcome back to the wrap-up. We're going to do our snake thing to clean our guns. Need to get in a good habit of doing that. And if you do, you'll never have problems along those lines. You won't. Any time you spend with a wire brush would be far and few between. I would argue that you'll never need to know what a wire brush is. The only time I've been using wire brushes for quite some time is when I acquire a gun that's been poorly taken care of, and I've been trying not to do that at all. So now this here is, full disclosure, this is a Snake 412 gauge. I don't know, I don't know if I even have one anymore that's 420. I've just been pulling them through. I suppose someday I'm going to break the cord. But by then, maybe it'll be time for me to get another stake anyway, so let's just go ahead. It doesn't take long. I mean, if you're going out and shooting, there's no sense in you not doing this. And then we'll show you what the board looks like afterwards. And that way there, when your guns sit and everything, it's no big deal. You know, they can sit. You know, I don't know how often everybody uses their guns out there, but sometimes. I don't get to one in a while. And but if you've got a nice thin layer of lubricant on it, this is both a little bit of cleaner and a little bit of lubricant. Okay, we'll set that down there for the moment. Okay, let's kind of recap here a little bit. Is this a Savage? Is this a Fox? Is it somewhere in the middle? No. It's a Stevens. That's really what it is. It's a Model 311 Stevens that's been upgraded. This, I did a little tiny bit of research. I'm not going to put a lot into this gun, but I did a tiny bit of research, and I have reason to believe that this is from the 60s, could even be a little bit later. I just ran a snake through the bore after that shooting, and there we go there, and there we go there. Okay, so what is this gun? Well, I've been giving a little thought to what this gun is and what it is not. It is not a Fox. It is not a Fox in the most distant sort of way. If it's anything, it's a Model 311 Stevens. But I don't know. You know, that's for somebody else to decide. What it really is to me is Savage taking the name of a great manufacturer and running it into the ground. At least as far as this gun's concerned, you have it's an illusion of what it is. You've got the pressed checkering. When I call it checkering, it makes me okay. It's really just made to look better than it is. This sample was doing a tiny bit more research, very little was worthy, is from probably the 60s or the 70s would be my guess. Probably late 60s, early 70s, late 70s, I don't know. It's a gun that shoots low. It should never have left the factory. That's a fact. Can you deal with a gun like this? Sure. Yeah. But it's hard to aim above a target because you can't see the target. Now, you could say, I could just barely see the target and shoot for that. And you could use that gun and it might be successful, but not at greater distances. Just an opinion. But then it's a 20 gauge, so its range of effectiveness is probably going to be 70 or 80 feet on the outside. Just my opinion. If you go with something harder, I shoot 7.5 through guns like this, and so for me, that's what the range is. If you want to put something heavier through it, you can't put something like a slug through it because they're both choked, so you can't do that. So what it is with this gun, I don't know. I'm thinking it's just a gun to play with and to use, but not to call a Fox. Until tomorrow, I'm going to be coming up with a new video tomorrow. I hope you like it, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.